Stephanie. Stephanie, you want to come up here?
I want to stay, I want to be back of the forest of poles, so if you don't mind, and people can see me. I have three purposes in coming. One, I've never been to Manzanar. This is my first pilgrimage here, and it's awesome. There's so much to learn, and I wanted also to learn about how Manzanar, from its history, got to be where it is now, with this 31st pilgrimage and the park situation. And I thought, wow, there's so that part, and then the other two parts are really what I have to say here today, which is that I'm to tell you something about the pilgrimage and about Tule Lake. And the third thing was I wanted to ask your help in the campaign for justice to get redress, wrap-up redress for the Japanese, Latin Americans, and other JAs that haven't gotten it. About the Tule Lake Pilgrimage Committee, they started doing pilgrimages in the 70s, and mainly they were activists and a few internees who wanted to educate people about the internment. And at that point, it was very, very difficult to get people to come up and people who were internees to talk about what was going on. And in 91, which was right after the year after people got their payments, was the first time that we had turnaway crowd from internees. So I know personally what the effect of redress was on people, that the apology and reparations, the compensation payments, really affected their capacity to feel that they could speak. The pilgrimages that we do up to Tule Lake since then have become more what I consider reparative. They're a way to open people's hearts, to pass the story on, to gain strength and pride in ourselves. And one of the issues around Tule Lake, it's a very special camp because, as some of you probably already know, it was the camp that became the segregation center, the camp of the no-nos. And I want to read to you a letter sent to us from a woman named Mitchie Waglin. She wrote The Years of Infamy. She was the one who really did the research and made the story known for us. And she wrote a letter. She was too ill at that time to come for the last pilgrimage. And it highlights one of the issues that or some of the issues that I think that are about Tule Lake. So these are her words. As you know, concern for the cause of railroad and mine workers and Japanese Latin Americans has been for me an all-consuming passion. But I cannot tell you how long I've agonized over the injustice sweepingly imposed on Tuleans, meaning the cruel stereotype of, quote, disloyalty cast on those of you who were consigned to Tule Lake after it had been turned into a maximum security, quote, segregation center, unquote. A similar sense of lingering shame appeared to be shared by many who were made to languish in jails, penitentiaries, in various military forts, and in Justice Department lockups. Locksword, Fort Bliss, Missoula, Crystal City are some more familiar to us. As happens under totalitarian regimes, all too many of the inmates in these holding pens had been seized, stigmatized, and made to suffer only because of their leadership potential. It was a time when it was paid to be an idiot. I've also wondered again and again why the emphasis to this day is placed largely on the so-called war relocation centers, as though the dozen or more other camps and lockups were in some way more justified to restrain those with a pro-access tilt. Have we been effectively brainwashed by the big lie? It is curious that rarely, if ever, do I run into anyone who volunteers the information that I am from Tule Lake. It has led me to wonder if my attempt to vindicate Tuleans in years of infamy may have been interpreted by former inmates as exposing too hurtful and abhorred a period in Nikkei history. I had experienced such a high writing about Tule Lake. I recall how it had my blood racing. I marveled at the courage of Tuleans who showed their solidarity by standing tall to counter the outrageous illegalities being perpetrated by their overlords, where entire blocks participated in such resistance. I have tried through the years to have others share my pride in Tuleans who fought back, who refused to be silenced, but there are times when I felt I was speaking into the wind. Nowadays, I always suggest that people begin to read Years of Infamy starting in the middle, in the section on Tule Lake. Then you will cut through to the central theme of arrogance, of those entrusted with wartime power, the cynical maneuvering, the trashing of our Constitution. In short, all the banality of evil will be instantly illuminated. For those who know what happened at Tule Lake will have what is necessary to discern the truth in the larger story. Let us also remember that we who know the face of repression have an obligation to recognize and condemn the existence of such actions affecting others who are similarly marginalized, scapegoated, abused, shamed, and silenced. Today, it seems especially appropriate to begin this task with the case of the Japanese Latin Americans who have been placed on a lesser scale of humanity in terms of redress. Tuleans should recognize these people suffer the same sort of duplicity and bureaucratic maneuvering around issues of their citizenship, of their expendability as democracy's redress, to be dumped on a starving Japan. Let us honor the memory of all who were made to endure these and other monstrous wrongs by continuing our struggle together for final vindication. Miyashiro Waglin. I was given the decision at the last pilgrimage whether to read this or not, and I had someone, a Tulean, a no-no, read it, and I watched his face, and the pride, you could watch the shift. I knew it had to be read, and I wanted to share it with you today, too, because that's what our story is about reclaiming our strength, our pride, and our power to take action to prevent these kinds of injustices and to continue to make wrongs right. And I need to ask your help today. I have materials here, too, for the Japanese Latin Americans. We're trying to get legislation passed that will bring them also an apology and the full level of compensation that the Japanese Americans got. I thank you.